I have 6:30. I'm going to start the webinar.
No, I have my other. This is not for you.
Or have them all removed. Okay, report.
Oops, sorry, your paper was actually in my desk before mine. Sorry, it's weird. I will try not to, if I open too much.
Good evening, everyone. We are still waiting for a quorum, but I do want to give a few moments to our council member who is here, Councilmember Alexa Aviles.
Hey, everyone. Good evening. How are you? It's good to see you. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of opportunity and Edward loves to come to CB7. So where to start? Good to see you all. Obviously want to start really, do I have a timer, by the way? Oh, so I can just drone on forever. Okay, fantastic. Here's my timer. Joan is like, absolutely not. If the meeting hasn't officially started, do you want me to wait to do that? Okay, okay, fine. Well, I guess first let's start by extending greetings to everyone who's observing Ramadan this month. Many blessings to your families. For everyone who celebrated St. Patty's Day this weekend, I hope you had a good celebration. And of course, we have to have a special shout out for all the women on the board for Women's International History Month. So yes, big applause to Gladys, who did amazing work at the social justice women's, I can't remember the whole name of the event. Red Carpet for Social Justice, where a collection of unions did an amazing event. Sam was also there, looking very dapper if you haven't seen the pictures. So Sunset Park was absolutely represented in the room. Cynthia was there, among others. It's a wonderful event, so I was really happy to be there. On the more mundane side, on the business side, I'll just run through a couple of things that are that have been on deck. So many of you may know, and of course, happy to answer questions afterwards. Many of you may know that for City Council, we started preliminary budget hearings starting on March 4th. They're still ongoing, and we are actually in the final weeks. And at preliminary budget hearings, what happens is City Council members sit with the agencies that they have oversight function over and essentially go over performance, spending, issues to come. And the hearings can be as short as 4 hours or 12 hours, which is what we just saw with our education hearing that happened a few days ago. Days are kind of melding into one for me. So, we continue to, dig deep into the issues that are in the budget, right? Particularly concerns around service levels, where cuts materialize, and this kind of ongoing battle around what is being funded and the gaps with the services and the needs that we have on the ground. And sometimes hearing that all this service is funded and we don't see the material impacts of that on the ground. So all those hearings are accessible if you're so inclined. You can watch them. You can also submit any particular questions, concerns to our office. Just so you know, the ones that are outstanding tomorrow, tomorrow I will be at the Land Use Committee and where the Department of City Planning will be testifying, and we're going to talk about particularly last mile warehouses and other issues like that as it concerns manufacturing districts. Then we're going to have Parks and Recreation, for those of you who don't know, super important to all of us here in the district. And Parks Department receives less than 1% of the city budget. It really is a place where we really need investment to maintain our parks and to make sure that they have what they need. Then we'll be in children and youth, the Department of Youth and Community Development. And we're going to be drilling in particularly around problems of the adult literacy program and the new RFP that has come out, which unfortunately is has the potential impact of removing some longstanding service providers and have direct impact on the amount of service that can be provided. English as a second language is one of the services that we fundamentally need literacy, and unfortunately, very little resources are going into what I consider basic necessity, right? To engage civically, you have to be able to engage in the native language here. It just helps in all your advocacy. And then last, on environmental protection and resiliency on waterfronts. Here, we're going to be digging in particularly to infrastructure. We have, as many of you may know, huge issues with infrastructure in Sunset Park and in Red Hook, actually all parts of the district, including the southern portion of the new District 38. Just given climate change, our water, and our lack of keeping up with our infrastructure, we still face some enormous issues. And I will say the city continues to put forward very lackadaisical, if any, actual comprehensive plans around how to actually invest in infrastructure in ways that will make our lives so much better. So we're continuing to pursue all those avenues. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to let me know. We're going to, over these next months until the budget is passed, we'll continue to fight to make sure that the Department of Education doesn't receive more cuts. Sanitation, libraries, all the things that are fundamental to services for people and communities is what we will be fighting to retain so that there aren't more cuts. In terms of, just want to highlight really quickly, and I'll try to wrap up, is the Progressive Caucus at the City Council, among kind of their whole slate of policy, is putting forward a campaign called Homes Now, Homes for Generations. And this is really a budget campaign asking the city to invest $4 billion in actually building affordable units, like truly affordable, and also supporting home ownership opportunities, right? The home ownership opportunity is something we've seen the city kind of move away from. That's not where you see very much investment. And New Yorkers need to have an opportunity to be able to buy homes and stay in their communities. And so those are kind of the two pillars of that particular campaign. You can definitely find stuff on social media. On the legislative front, there's a ton going on. In the last 3 months, over 1,000 bills have been introduced to council on every issue you could imagine. I'll just flag as they make their way through the legislative process. Some will never make it through the legislative process, but some of the things we have been focused on, and a good number of them have an environmental justice component to them. So we just put forward a resolution around an Electrify New York campaign, and that's really about supporting outcomes. It's about electrifying the bus fleets and vehicles, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and ensuring a just transition. So this is a resolution in support of some state work that we hope to happen. And we also just put forward and had a hearing for a bill regarding mandating that HPD provide residents with information around their rights after a fire, particularly when there's a vacate order. I have, unfortunately, in my short tenure here, been to many fires, and people are not only traumatized, you know, the American Red Cross tries their best to kind of meet immediate needs. There's very little information given to folks to understand what their rights are upon return. Can they get their stuff? And unfortunately, there have been a lot of bad actors in terms of landlords who have taken advantage and told people you can't come back, or any manner of illegal things like selling people's private property off without their knowledge. So we're working that out, and hopefully we can get people basic information so they know their rights in a language that is accessible, which is another huge issue for the city. Some of you may know I'm chair of the Immigration Committee. I was chair of the Public Housing and have been moved to this new committee. I serve on 6 committees. I'm chair of Immigration. I'm on the Economic Development Committee. I'm on Housing and Buildings. I am on Waterfront, Environmental Protection, Waterfront and Resiliency, and I'm on a task force to combat hate. And lastly, on general welfare, I've already lost count, which means that I have to go to an enormous amount of hearings, really on issues that affect us, right? General services and everything from the economic development projects that too much hate, that is for sure. Economic development projects where the EDC has an enormous footprint in our district, as many of you know. So I just want to encourage you all to come and talk with us if you have questions, concerns, or comments on any manner of those issues or anything you wish. And with that, I want to say thank you. Good to see you and happy to answer any questions. I've talked at you for.
Okay, thank you, council member. I don't see any questions, so you're all set. We have achieved quorum, so I would like to officially open the March 20th, 2024 board meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, and we'll go to the roll call.
Evening, everybody. If you're joining us on Zoom, please remember to unmute yourself when I call your name. I will acknowledge you and then mute yourself again. Also, if you're joining us on Zoom, while your attendance counts, you do not count towards a quorum. Let's start with Griselle Amador. Thank you. Forget how to write this. Damian Andrade. Thank you. Joan Body. Thank you. Gladys Bruno. Thank you. Jerry Chan. Thank you. Esteban Chavez. Thank you. Richard Codor. John DeLuper. Thank you. B. DeSapio.
Present.
Thank you. B. You do not count towards quorum. Gabino Morales Escamilla. Thank you. Cynthia Felix. Thank you. John Fontillis. Thank you. Kin Fung. Thank you. Cynthia Gonzalez. Diana Gonzalez. Hector Gonzalez. Hector, I acknowledge your hand is up. Kenny Guan. Thank you. Nicole Huang. Thank you. Nicholas Jackson. John Johnston. Jeremy Kaplan. Beverly Kleinman. Thank you. White Co. Thank you. Barbara Lee. Christina Lim. Angie Lau. Paul Mack.
I'm here.
Thank you. Paul, you do not count towards quorum. Antoinette Martinez. Thank you. Marilyn Melman. Rosie Moda. Thank you. Jamie Nelson. Thank you. Julio Pena III.
Present.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick. Thank you. Joanna Romero. Patricia Ruiz. Damaris Santiago. Sam Sierra. Thank you. Ryan Smith. Thank you. Kalina Sorma.
Present.
Thank you. Kalina, you do not count towards quorum. Victor Swinton. Cindy Vandenbosch. Catherine Walsh.
Present.
Thank you. Catherine, you do not count towards quorum. Cesar Zuniga. Thank you. Twenty-four present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to move to adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt? Motion by Joan Body, seconded by Jerry Chan. If there are no objections to adopting the agenda, seeing or hearing none, it is so adopted via unanimous consent. I'd like to move to adoption of the minutes of the February 21st, 2024 board meeting. Motioned by Damian, seconded by Joan. Is there any objection to adopting the minutes of the February 21st board meeting as submitted? Seeing or hearing none, the minutes have been adopted. Now moving to public comment. Members of the public wishing to speak before the board on an item on the agenda may do so now. Last call. Okay, so moving to oh, I almost skipped. Elected officials report and representatives. That's right. Any, 1 second. Come on up, Taylor.
Oh, we might have.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor. I'm here from Senator Ewan Chu's office. I just want to give you a couple of updates about some things that we have upcoming. We are doing an affordable housing talk at FIA, which is at 87 11 18th Avenue. We're doing that on April 6th. I believe. We're going to be doing it from 11 to 2. We do have a flyer out, so if you need any of that information, just get it from our flyer. It's just to help first-time homeowners get a little bit of information on how to make that kind of a more affordable process and see what resources we can get available for them. And then on April 21st, we are doing an orchestra. This orchestra is going to be kind of a unique opportunity to bring together a lot of different cultures. We're going to be doing some Italian opera as a part of it, and we're also going to be doing some Cantonese opera as a part of it as well. And we're going to be kind of helping out with that. It's going to be at St. George's Community Center. We have tickets available at our office, so you can always come to our office and pick up those tickets. We're located at 6605 Fort Hamilton Parkway, and we have our office information out there as well. We also have been helping individuals out with tax prep as well. So if you need, any help with your taxes, anything like that, we have been referring people out to different services that we have available. So just let us know if you need any help with that. That's pretty much all we have for our office right now, but if you have any questions about anything going on at our office, just feel free to come by and stop and talk to me. I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Taylor. Can I ask that you email us the information on the Italian and Mandarin opera? That sounds
Yeah, of
really-
course, of course. Yeah, I'll definitely get that over.
Thank you. And I believe we had a question from a board member for you. Jerry, if you can use a microphone, please. Thank you.
I know your office, invite MTA to come in to do the reduced fares. So when's the next time they come in over?
We actually have them planned for May 31st. We're finishing working out the details with MTA, but we're trying to get basically 4 events set up. The first one's supposed to be May 31st for the MetroCard van to come by our office. And then we're working on 3 other dates for the MTA to actually stop by. They don't do exactly the same services, but a lot of the things like assistance with MetroCards, things like that, they'll be able to help with. The only thing is when they do come into our office without the van, they will not be able to take your picture there. So you will have to come in with a picture. So once we have all of those dates, we'll make sure to get those out to you guys.
Thank you. Any other, sorry, board members, you can speak to her in the hallway. Any other elected official representatives present tonight that we may have missed? Emmett Mendoza from Assemblymember Matena's office. You can unmute yourself.
Hey everyone, this is Amit speaking. My name, I'm the Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Marcelo Matenas. I'm currently calling from the office because we have another commitment as well here in person. But just wanted to share that we're having a teach-in tomorrow scheduled at 1 second, just pull it up. It's scheduled for 12 o'clock. This is for the Clean Deliveries Act teaching that we're going to be doing along with the Teamsters, with the Environmental Protection Fund, as well as with New York City Earth Justice Alliance on the Clean Deliveries Act, which is a piece of legislation that we're pushing to help regulate last mile facilities throughout New York State. I will share information in the Zoom chat, but will also make sure that I send the RSVP information to the community board so that individuals may be able to apply. We're located here on 4907 4th Avenue. We have constituent services Monday to Thursday from 9 o'clock to 5 p.m. We're also seeing individuals and assisting people with immigration cases every Wednesday from 10 to 3 p.m. This is by appointment only. But if you know any individuals who may need assistance, feel free to stop by the office or call us at our number at 718-492-6334. With that being said, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll be here on Zoom to listen in for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Emmett. Francesca from Senator Gunardis' office.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and happy spring. I just wanted to say hi. I definitely left a few flyers in the office, so my bad. But we're having a shredding event as we do every spring. It'll be on April 26th at St. Anselm Church. I could pass out details. Sorry about the flyer. But besides that, I just wanted to say hi. If you need me, I'm always here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected official representatives we may have missed? Okay, moving on to committee reports. We just have one. You're gonna hear me talking a little bit, sorry. So the executive committee met last week and voted on 2 resolutions. The first resolution is asking our state elected officials, our state senators, and our state assembly members to look into solutions to the open meetings law, which would continue to allow virtual participation at board meetings, but also addressing some of the concerns that we have had in our board regarding meeting quorum. Currently, quorum can only be met by those attending in person. Those attending virtually can vote, can participate in meetings, but do not count towards quorum. And particularly this year has been a bit challenging for us in achieving that. And this resolution simply asks Governor Hochul and our state electeds to find some creative solutions to help us out. Is there any discussion on the resolution? it came out of committee, so there is does not require a second, and open to discussion from board members. Jeremy Kaplan?
I noticed that there's not necessarily any sort of direct remedy to it, but was there a discussion all around allowing, hybrid members to be able to count towards quorum? Or I'm just curious because I do think it might be more effective if we offer possible solutions, because I know that legislatively, like in Albany, while members were allowed to vote and counted, through hybrid. So I don't know if there was, it does seem like worthwhile for us to present, options instead of just saying, please do something about it.
Yeah, there was discussion about specific ideas that we have had with our board. I think we didn't offer any specific solutions because I don't necessarily think that there's like a one size fits all for everyone, because this doesn't just affect community boards, it affects pretty much any public body in the state. So I think we kept it a little bit more broad so that the legislators, as they are drafting, perhaps they can consider our feedback as well as others, and not have like specific suggestions that we want, which I think would be great, but I think would probably benefit just us and not other public bodies. Any other questions? John Fontillis?
Hey, one of the joys of time shifting or watching online is that I was actually able to watch the committee meeting, although I was watching parts of it. Karen, you said you had watched a hearing in Manhattan. How are other boards dealing with it? I mean, are we just, can't be the only ones?
They're tearing their hair out.
But are they still, well, actually, is it an issue of bylaw or is it just an issue of the open meetings law?
Jeremy would like to answer that question.
I deal with a lot of district managers. We're scrambling. Some of us are breaking the law. Some of us are, but there's no quorum police. Some of us do not allow hybrid. Some of us have no virtual component whatsoever. 59 boards are handling it in 59 different ways.
The hearing that I attended in Manhattan, I was only able to attend for about 45 minutes, but it was community board after community board after community board railing against the current system. All of them are having the same problem we're having. They can't reach quorum and they're paralyzed. So it was just a hearing, so they weren't really responding, but they were listening to a lot of complaints about this.
Look, the only real issue, I think, if we don't have quorum, obviously we don't take business under our administration. But if we were to vote on something and not have quorum, we could be subject to legal action, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Just want to check. Not that we would ever break the law here at CB7.
Because if you go rogue, that might satisfy it in the short term, but then anything we resolved could come under scrutiny and question.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, I would like to do this by show of hands. So and board members only, if you are in favor of the resolution and sending to Governor Hochul and our state electeds, please raise your hand. Hands down, thank you. If you are not in favor of sending this resolution, please raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. Passed with unanimous consent. Moving on to the second resolution. This resolution a similar resolution was introduced by a board member in 2 previous months. We unfortunately lost quorum. The executive committee met and discussed this resolution, which calls for a ceasefire. I will read the resolution in its entirety. Whereas all human life is precious and the targeting of civilians, no matter their faith or ethnicity, is a violation of international humanitarian law. Whereas Brooklyn Community District 7 has a growing Middle Eastern and North African and Jewish population. Whereas we condemn the murder, attacks, and kidnapping perpetrated by Hamas on October 7th and do not condone acts of violence. Whereas between October 7th and October 16th, 2023, armed violence has claimed the lives of over 2,700 Palestinians and over 1,400 Israelis, including Palestinian and Israeli Americans, and wounded thousands more. And since then, over 29,000 Palestinian lives have been lost. Whereas hundreds of thousands of lives are at imminent risk if a ceasefire is not achieved and humanitarian aid is not delivered without delay. Whereas the federal government holds immense diplomatic power to save Israeli and Palestinian lives, now therefore be it resolved that Brooklyn Community Board 7 calls for immediate ceasefire, release of all hostages, and an end to violence in the region. Be it further resolved that Brooklyn Community Board 7 calls on our elected leaders, be it local, state, or federal, to do what they can to end the hostilities. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Jamie? Nelson?
What I do want to say is I believe it of the community board. And while I agree with what is being stated, I believe stated powers are and the things we should, all the power that is confirmed by the community board is confirmed by the city charter. And the Court of Appeals has held that any power we have is only given to us by that charter. And specifically, I've gone through the statutes and our goal, sorry, consult, assist, and advise any public officer, agency, local. I don't see where any of this is consulting, assisting, or advising. We're just saying, hey, this is what we believe in. And we're not doing anything specific other than essentially sending a letter. And therefore, I believe it is beyond the scope of our powers as a community board pursuant to the charter.
Thank you, Jamie. That was discussed at the executive committee meeting. I think personally, this speaks to our values as residents and representatives in our district. And I think it also, like, this board can speak on whatever we want, whether it's city issues, state, federal. And I think the act of making the statement and addressing to our elected officials to do something, I think is valuable. Whether they choose to listen, whether they choose to ignore us, whether they choose to engage in dialogue would be up to them. But I do think it is valuable to issue a statement on how we believe the hostilities should end.
However, I still believe it's beyond scope. And any type of value, local, any individual powers that are given.
I'll just reiterate, she believes that, Jamie believes that it is still beyond the scope of the board. Thank you, Jamie. Antoinette, and then Damien.
Hi, thank you for your comment. I just want to say that you could essentially say that about anything that we vote on. The community board is advisory. I really applaud the fact that this has been brought forth as a resolution. It should have been brought forth, in my opinion, a long time ago, and it's really a shame that we didn't reach quorum sooner so that this could be voted on. I would like to introduce a friendly amendment to update the 29,000 because there are over 30,000 Palestinians who have been killed. And I would also like to add another friendly amendment to address the famine that's currently going on.
Is there specific language that you have in terms of, in regards to famine?
Phone died, so I was like looking through the wording, but I can't something.
Second, Damien. Damien?
Yes, to add on to what Annette was saying, I think it's very much like, because some members here says it's not in our purview, which I always disagree with, because we are a community board that's supposed to represent the general public, their concerns, their ideas. Yes, we might not have the power to fix everything, but we do have the power, not the power, but at least we're able to put that on record that we're acknowledging what's happening out there. So just because we might not have no power in this doesn't mean that we can't publicly post a statement supporting and standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people and just calling for a ceasefire. I don't see what's wrong with that. I think we represent a big district. And there has been many Sunset Park residents who says that we need a ceasefire. There's a whole Instagram account with more than 100 people. And we as a community board should be holding our elected officials accountable. We should be telling them what they should and what they should not be doing in our district, because we're the ones who are voting them in, yet they're not doing our best interest of it. So I feel like some members here forget that we're on a community board, given probably they've been here for too longer than me, in my opinion. And I'm 21 years old, so let me point that out. So yeah, and I just feel like just a friendly reminder that we are serving the interest of the public of District 7, not our own personal interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien. John Johnston? Oh, I even.
No, I'm good. Sorry, I raised my hand by accident, but thank you.
No problem. Thank you, John. Karen?
I happen to agree with Jamie in that, you know, what about Ukraine? I know people who live in Sunset Park who are Ukrainian. And we could, but we could, what about Yemen? What about Sudan? What about all these international things? I just happen to feel that it's not within our purview. Since the group has decided that it's going to be in the purview, I think we should just be very careful not to take sides. We can vote to end the hostilities as our resolution does, and which I approved when I voted for it. But I think we should not side with Palestinians specifically or Israelis. We should just ask to end the hostilities.
Thank you for raising that. It was discussed at the executive committee meeting, why speaking on this issue and not others. Any board member is free to bring a resolution to this board, and it is up to this board to decide whether we choose to speak on it or not. And since this was brought up multiple times, I think it speaks to the direction that this board members wanted to move into. I would like to, I know I see a bunch of hands come up, so I'm gonna ask Jerry and then Gabino.
Hello. So I was, since the last meeting that we had, I really went home and think about this, the involvement of the community, how should we look at this, how should we vote on this, right? So I was actually debating and debating with myself, right? If we do this, right, are we going to do the same thing to Ukraine and Russia, China and Taiwan, and everywhere else that's fighting, right? Haiti, Haiti. My unit was in Haiti with the first coup, right? So we will continue doing that. So that's, I mean, it's more a comment than a question. Thank you.
Which was discussed that if any board member wishes to bring a resolution or statement to this board, they are free to do so. Gabino?
Yes, step outside, so everybody, right over here, so everybody
ahead.
can see me, please. Um, so my name is Gabino Morales Escamilla. I'm here because our beliefs matter, right? And we are the first people who decide what our community is thinking. So we are the first ones who interact with our communities. So how are our elected officials supposed to know what our community wants or needs if we're not there talking to them? I'm here every single day in this neighborhood, on the next neighborhood at Park Slope, in Bay Ridge. We have everybody from around the world here, or who we represent. We're supposed to represent these people, right? And we hold them to our hearts because they're Americans and they have families who are Palestinians and Israelis, right? But at the end of the day, we have to stay with the facts and not stray away from what the facts are, because unfortunately, there are more Palestinians who are dead now than what has happened with Hamas. And yes, we condemn what happened with Hamas, but that does not excuse nobody for the Israeli, the IDF, to do to the people, which I don't want to compare to anything else, but they've done to these people. It's unthinkable. I wouldn't have. I can't believe I'm living in this time where there's a genocide really literally happening before our eyes. And I do want to say that being a security officer, I do, this is my job, and I know when people are in danger. We're supposed to know this. We can't blind ourselves to what's happening in the world. Literally, the whole world has voted for a ceasefire. What does that say? Does that not mean anything? So we do not have a power when we do our job here and say we have a majority vote because we represent our people. We come here to represent our people because they ask us to represent them, or they come with their complaints, with their ideas, with their issues, concerns, or whatever. This is what we're here for. So if the majority of the world is voting for something that is wrong, that's happening now in our society, then we have to side with what's right and what's just. And history will be here forever and will hold us accountable for what we do.
Thank you, Gabino. I do want to, and our council member wanted to add something to the conversation.
So thank you all. First, I just want to thank the entire board. I want to thank you, Damian, and everyone for the discussion, right? While there clearly has been troubles around quorum, it seems that there has been a lot of thinking and consideration around the resolution. This resolution is but one of a history of resolutions around things that are well beyond the purview of the board in terms of, specifically what the charter mandates. But this is what a civic body does, right? It engages in robust debates and puts forward value statements around what is important to the community. I just want to say that clearly you see my button. I wholeheartedly came out for ceasefire because I believe all lives are precious, no matter where you're from and where you come from. Clearly, the region has a history. We also have very robust Jewish community, but a very longstanding and robust Palestinian community. And my greatest hope is that all people can live with dignity and the things that they need. So I applaud this body. I applaud a resolution that embodies the importance of holding all life precious, to asking for stopping of famine, stopping of funding of war, because that's what our community embodies. So I applaud that effort. And I want this body to continue to put forward its value statements, because as an elected official, I was mentioned, it is important to hear. We know this is not a monolith. This is a very diverse community, and we're going to have 1,000 opinions about everything. but there are places of resonance, and that is really important. As Gabino said, the international community, we are seeing greater and greater resonance around what is truly a humanitarian crisis that is a decision. So it is time to make statements and be bold for human dignity of all people. That should not be a radical idea. That should be something we do very easily because we truly believe all people deserve the right to live with dignity and with health and with the things they need. So with that, I just want to thank you. I'm in support of this resolution. I could offer a ton of friendly amendments, but I want that board to do the work that they're doing. So thank you for the time, CB7, and thank you for the robust conversation.
Councilmember. Before I go to, just want to be equitable with time, are there any other members wishing to discuss the motion and the resolution? Thank you. I did not. I accept the friendly amendments. Thank you, John. Gunning for a new parliamentarian job. Jamie?
I just want to reiterate, I am not putting a value on the resolution itself. What I am stating, though, is that it is a slippery slope, as pointed out, right? And that being said, I don't see where it is consulting, assisting, or advising. Okay, and once we're beyond the scope of what we really are empowered to do, we're opening a whole new can of worms. Again, this is not a value judgment on the resolution itself. I just believe it. And we're all on about the open meetings law, and we don't want to break the open meetings law, and now we're taking powers that are not conferred to us by the charter. So that is my point.
Thank you, Jamie. I would like to move to a vote. And I would like to do this by a roll call. And just for clarity, a yes vote is in favor of this motion. A no vote is not in favor of the motion. And Jeremy will call the roll.
Thank you, everyone. When I call your name, please give your vote. I will confirm your vote. If you were joining us online, please remember to unmute yourself, cast your vote, and then mute yourself again. Let's start with Grisel Amador. Grisel Amador, yes. Damian Andrade. Damian Andrade, yes. Joan Body? Joan Body votes present. Gladys Bruno? Gladys Bruno, yes. Jerry Chan? Jerry Chan votes present. Esteban Chavez? Esteban Chavez, yes. Richard Codor? John DeLuper? John DeLuper votes yes. Beatrice DeSapio?
Yes.
Beatrice DeSapio votes yes. Gabino Morales Escamilla? Gabino Morales Escamilla, yes. Cynthia Felix? Cynthia Felix, yes. John Fontillis? John Fontillis, yes. Kin Feng? Kin Feng abstains. Cynthia Gonzalez? Diana Gonzalez? Hector Gonzalez? Hector Gonzalez? Hector votes present. You can't see it up there.
Hector, we need a verbal vote.
He wrote.
I need a verbal.
Hector, could you unmute yourself? Hector, I will try to unmute you. Hector's system doesn't work. Okay. Kenny Guan. Kenny Guan votes present. Quiet, please. Nicole Huang. Nicole Huang votes present. Nicholas Jackson. John Johnston. Jeremy Kaplan. Jeremy Kaplan votes yes. Beverly Kleinman. Beverly Kleinman votes present. Wyco. Wyco votes yes. Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee votes yes. Christina Lem. Angie Lau. Paul Mack.
Present.
Paul Mack votes present. Antoinette Martinez. Antoinette Martinez votes yes. Marilyn Melman. Rosie Moda. Rosie Moda votes yes. Jamie Nelson. Jamie Nelson votes present. Julio Pena.
Yes.
Julio Pena votes yes. Karen Rolnick. Karen Rolnick votes present. Joanna Romero. Patricia Ruiz. Damaris Santiago. Sam Sierra. Sam Sierra votes yes. Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith votes yes. Kalina Sorma.
Yes.
Kalina Sorma votes yes. Victor Swinton. Cindy Vandenbosch. Catherine Walsh.
Yes.
Catherine Walsh votes yes. Cesar Zuniga. Cesar Zuniga votes present. 19 yes, no nos, 1 abstention, 9 voting present. Motion carries.
Thank you for the discussion and for this board's work. And now we will move to the second roll call. So you're going to hear some names again.
Okay, for the second roll call, you probably all remember this. I only call the people who were not here during the first roll call. So if you don't hear your name, you're already marked present. So let's start with Richard Codor, Cynthia Gonzalez, Diana Gonzalez, Nicholas Jackson, John Johnston, Jeremy Kaplan. Thank you. Barbara Lee. Thank you. Christina Lem. Angie Lau. Marilyn Melman. Joanna Romero. Patricia Ruiz. Damaris Santiago. I skipped by your vote. I didn't realize you were here. Hi. Sorry. Victor Swinton. Cindy Vandenbosch. We have 2 board members who are not here who have their hands up.
Moving to the chairperson's report. So last month, the Brooklyn Borough Board voted to disapprove the City of Yes Economic Opportunity. This board remembers we held a special meeting to vote and issue our statement and our recommendations for City of Yes. Those recommendations were made to the Brooklyn Borough Board. However, a majority of the members at the Borough Board voted to disapprove. The Borough Board also voted to approve improvements to Prospect Park. And I neglected to write down what those improvements were. But I do believe there is a presentation that I can get from the Borough Board to share with board members. I believe it was improvements regarding some viewing areas around one of the ponds and rain and flooding mitigation for the park. The Transportation Committee will be meeting next month. One of their agenda items is Sam Schwartz study. This was brought up at the recent Sunset Park Task Force meeting with community members, EDC, elected officials, and a bunch of and some other groups. This board met in 2017. Yeah, and the Economic Development Committee met in 2017 to learn about the Sam Schwartz study, which is the predated the Sam Schwartz study, correct? Which discusses the conversion of First and Second Avenue to one-way streets. It was the first we heard about it since 2017. We since then have met with EDC and Transportation Committee will be meeting April 3rd and that is one of the agenda items. Lots of feelings about First and Second Avenue and their conversion, so tune in. Also, I think it was last week at this point, but the dates are kind of jumbling together. CB10 held a joint meeting with some CB7 members, MTA, and I'm forgetting who else was part of the meeting, but it was to discuss the MTA property and the 65th Street rail yard. If you walk past there, you'll notice there's a lot of trash and illegal dumping. It's been a longstanding issue. We were not satisfied with the resolution of that meeting, and CB10 will be spearheading a follow-up as well as a walkthrough so people can see it with their own eyes, how outrageous it has gotten along that property. Just yesterday, was it yesterday? The DOT, wow. Department of Transportation held a meeting with all community boards regarding the new dining out program, which replaces the temporary outdoor sheds. There were a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of concerns regarding their timeline, their process, their application portal. Needless to say, the temporary program expires August 3rd. And anyone who is under the temporary program wishing to reapply will likely be doing so in the summer when community boards do not meet. And they did not offer any answer regarding extensions or any conversations about how boards should handle since we do not meet during the summer. So needless to say, we will probably be inundated with at least 10 requests for the new dining program when we are not in session. And that is just unacceptable, along some of the other concerns that folks had. So we will be making a request for a meeting on the dining out program for this board. Whether they choose to give us one, we'll see, but that is something that we'll be requesting. And lastly, we are holding next Tuesday, the 26th, a homeowners workshop, specifically addressing folks who've lived in this community, who live in this community, and protecting generational wealth. We'll have some guest speakers from the Kings County Circuit Court's office, Honorable Judge Rosemary Montalbano and Judge Bernard Graham, as well as a representative from Neighbors Helping Neighbors homeownership program to talk about what they can do for homeowners. So that's next Tuesday, which also will be virtual for those who would like to attend virtually. And that is the chair's report. Any questions? Antoinette?
Can you confirm the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity vote? Were each of the points disapproved, or as a whole was it? And then which body voted against it? I missed that.
So they voted to disapprove in its entirety. However, my vote for the City of Yes was the board's recommendation. So we voted to approve, I don't remember off the top of my head, a number of them, and disapprove 11 and disapprove the remainders along with specific recommendations to improve. And it was the Brooklyn Borough Board, so it comprises representatives from 18 community boards in Brooklyn, and representatives from the council member's office, as well as the borough president. So the question is, can you speak to how that follows the approval process? I believe each board can vote on City of Yes. It then goes to Brooklyn Borough Board because they vote on land use items that affect multiple districts, multiple community districts. And then I believe it now goes to the City Planning Commission. And then after that, at the city council. Any other questions? And moving to the district manager's report.
Julio and I were at a lot of the same meetings this past month, so he's already given much of my report. Let me just say that dining out, we did email this to all of our board members today. Feel free to look through it. The upshot for me is we, along with many other boards, asked DOT to make a presentation before our board, and so far they are refusing. I will also say about the meeting with CB10 regarding the Long Island Railroad cut and MTA, their promised tenant, they promised their tenant, New York and Atlantic Railway, would be at the meeting. They did not show. They have not cleaned their space in years. It is in their lease with MTA that they clean their space, and there apparently is no way to enforce that. Several of us, Julio mentioned, he, Katie, Damaris, and I met with EDC as a follow-up to the council members meeting on Pier 6. We wanted to hear more about that and what's coming up. Much of this is going to be in upcoming committee meetings. Also, the Green Economy Action Plan, and we found out the day before about the grant application for First and Second Avenue conversion. And Julio spoke about that as well. The 7th Avenue Bridge has started its rehabilitation. And Monday, it will go to the end of the month. There is no parking on the bridge until the end of the month. And they will be taking a parking lane and the sidewalk for the rehabilitation project. There's a ribbon cutting for Rainbow Playground. We have long advocated for it to be rehabilitated, and that ribbon cutting will be April 18th at 4 p.m. There are flyers out on the table for anybody who would like to attend. I forget if it was last week or this week, everything's blending together now, but DOT announced that they have won the $5.6 billion grant. I'm sorry, $1 million grant. Oops.
Wait, what?
Oops. $1 million grant from the federal government through the Infrastructure Law for Reconnecting Communities program. They will be releasing a final report this spring, and we will be discussing the BQE study at the next Transportation Committee meeting. There are flyers out on the table for Equinor, which will be holding its next community engagement meeting regarding the Empire Wind project. That will take place on April 2nd at 6 p.m. in this room. It's not our meeting, though, folks. It's Equinor's meeting. We're just lending the space. Since the last meeting, there have been 13 liquor license applications and renewals. They're available in the red binder for anybody who wishes to look through that. There have been no cannabis licenses applications in the past month that we have received. And then finally, the police department statistics are out on the table.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any questions? Barbara? Please use the microphone.
there.
Thank you.
Okay, we're talking about money coming in and the BQE. Instead of having a meeting, why don't you have people who have cars just drive their cars up and down 3rd Avenue until their tires blow out? I mean,
Reach. Any other comments? Moving on, is there any?
I was raising my hand. I have a quick comment in
I'm
terms of
sorry.
the,
Go ahead, Kalima. I'm sorry I missed you.
no problem. Just in terms of the police statistics, I don't know if it's possible to invite someone from the local precinct, just considering the amount of violence in the subways, and just to know what the statistics are for our local subway stations, and if there's been any plans to help mitigate violence.
Thank you. We'll reach out and get that.
Thank you.
Uh, any old business? Any new business? Whoa. Jerry, Cesar, and then Joan. And then Barbara. I hope someone else remembers that because I'm gonna forget.
Me again. Okay, me again. New business. We need to bring DOT at our next meeting as DOT and public safety. We on A Avenue, they put extension on the sidewalk and there's poles that supposedly block people from going over. Most of the pole being laying on the ground and elderly being tripping over it. So Nicole got a lot of complaint from the elderly. Right, we got lots of picture. Last time I made a complaint, DOT did come out and change that, but they don't change it fast enough. Because we got trucks and stuff keep parking it. So new business, like can we get DOT out here as Cynthia as part of safety and DOT, because it's become a hazard. Mostly elderly are tripping and they won't refuse to go to the hospital. We got pictures and stuff.
Of course, co-chair public safety, Jerry, we could do that.
And I'm sure Katie would and John would be open to it as well.
Okay.
Cesar?
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone. I want to talk about, I want to foreshadow something that's coming to the district. It's the Pew Health Survey. So let me just preface this by saying that I am a consultant and one of my clients is NYU Langone. What I do for them is bring intellectual leadership around developing research with an equity focus. That's something that I have done a lot of in my recent professional history. So the Pew Health Survey is a comprehensive assessment conducted by the Pew Research Center. And it's basically a survey that measures wellness by examining access to healthcare, satisfaction with healthcare, health behaviors, perceptions of healthcare. And we are just getting started with Pew on developing the survey. I obviously want to engage the community board, and we're obviously going to engage lots of community-based organizations within Sunset. My role in the project is to make sure that we're reaching the most underserved parts of the community. I think having spent a lot of time on the community board and just in general in the community, we have what I call the usual suspects. This is too important to just, and not that the usual suspects' opinion and insights don't matter, but because this is about healthcare and because we have for far too long have had disproportionate healthcare burdens and environmental burdens, I want to make sure that we're reaching the hardest to reach populations. Obviously, what I mean by that are immigrant neighbors and families who are by conscious choice, not wanting to be on the radar, and hopefully NYU, along with all of us, will be able to engage this community. So a lot more to come on the survey. Obviously, someone from NYU will come and make the presentation at some point, but I just kind of wanted to foreshadow because I really would love to encourage all of us to lean into this. Again, this is really important. We have such a unique opportunity. We have the resources. We have a top-notch research firm engaging us in this work, and I think it could really move the needle in terms of healthcare outcomes in our community. So much more to come, and again, hopefully you guys will join us in that effort.
Thank you, Cesar. Joan? And then Barbara.
Hi, everybody. Our councilman, Assemblyman Robbie Carroll had in his office a couple of weeks ago a representative from the buildings department. And I was made to learn that any building that has 6 stories and higher the facades must be inspected by the end of the year. Also, if the building has a parking lot with more than 3 outdoor parking spots and any indoor parking spots must also be inspected by the end of this year. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Joan. Barbara?
Thanks. I just had to ask a question first. When was the last time that the police department, to speak to anybody here, speak to the community board? 6 weeks ago?
But to a board meeting,
To a committee, not the board. I've been here. I mean, this is the first time to like this meeting that I've come late. I've been here before and I haven't seen the police here. Yeah, but not the board.
so they've been to committee meetings, but it has been several board meetings since they've attended. I believe it was September. Yeah.
Is there a reason why? Is it only just satisfactory for them to come to the committee meeting instead of a general meeting?
I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, but we can make sure moving forward that they're invited to every board meeting and then every relevant committee meeting.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Gabino? And then Rosie?
Again, my name is Gabino. Yes, Gabino Morales. So I'm a board member, but I'm also on the Public Safety Committee. So I'm piggybacking on what our local board member Barbara is saying about the 72nd precinct being here at our meetings. There's what I've known, I think it's been almost about 5 months that they've actually came here and spoke to our community about what's going on, how we are working with them, and we need that type of communication with them because I'm the type of person who I joined this community board because I'm actually speaking to every member in our community here, Sunset Park, Park Slope, Bay Ridge. I speak to every person here in our communities, and I've been a witness to the not all officers. There are some rogue officers that have been abusive in their tactics, and we need to address that concern from our community members. I do. I am disgusted with some of these police officers that think they are above the law. I mean, I had a situation where I happened to be upon, I was working and I happened to be upon a situation where police officers were arrived and they were just being so aggressive to this person and I had to step in. And if I wasn't there, who knows God knows what would happen to these individuals who were maybe not even speaking the language. So imagine if I faced that. Imagine the people who don't speak the language, in English or any language that they could communicate with the police officers properly. So it's not all police officers. I have family members who serve the police department. I have a brother who was in the Army, and I hold the 72nd precinct to the highest standards, and they're supposed to follow that. They've been great, as far as I know. Our 72nd precinct, they've been great, but lately I've been hearing from our community members' concerns, and our job is to elevate these concerns and inform the body so we could take action. And I do want to take this opportunity to see if I could make a motion, introduce a motion to the floor.
What is your motion?
My motion would be just to have, I move that our community board request attendance from the 72nd precinct to our board meeting and our public safety committee meeting so we could address these issues.
Before we ask for a second, I just want to clarify, we can request that without seeking a motion from this board.
Is that possible? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gabino.
Thank you.
Rosie?
Just really quick plug, presidential primary early voting starts really soon. Don't forget to go vote.
Election day is April 2nd, but presidential primary. You pick the early voting starts March 23rd. It's not in June, it's now.
Yes. This is the year where we have 2 primaries. Sometimes we have 3. Moving on to public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak on any item they so wish. Oh, okay. So I see Randy first, and then I don't know everyone's name, so we'll just go after Randy. And you have 3 minutes.
Randy, please use the microphone.
Thank you.
I actually have 2 separate items, so.
If you can fit them in 3 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Joan. The Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, who I represent, and most of the area businesses on 3rd Avenue and in the industrial business zone, along with Industry City and the tenants they represent, were upset to learn that the community board voted on the 3rd Avenue redesign option that was the most disruptive and radical option, with little or no consultation or input from the thousands of businesses that are going to be negatively impacted. Case in point, no engagement was done with Industry City, 1,000 businesses alone, no workshops hosted in the industrial business zone, and even though the chamber has been here for 3 years, we were not informed we were informed only by someone outside of the community that this was happening. I've also subsequently talked to the SBIDC, Jesse Solomon. She confirmed that the 2 forums that you had right after Easter Passover were sparsely attended by businesses, if at all, and she expressed concerns about the road diet plan as well. The results of any plan will have a different set of impacts on 3rd Avenue businesses versus the industrial businesses that are west of 3rd Avenue. So a 3rd Avenue business survey doesn't even tell the whole entire story. Lastly, a lot of the businesses I spoke to subsequently were confused. They referenced the Greenway plan. They referenced the 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue redesign plan. I communicated these concerns to Katie Walsh. She was initially very sympathetic about the outreach issue. She wants to have a meeting. I just want to see the records, which I've requested for the people who attended those forums for the community. We're not talking about public safety or design at this point. We're talking about a disregard for a significant part of the community that invests in business formation, economic development, and job creation. As of now, it has only been the community board, not even the DOT, that has taken a position. That's why I'm coming here to talk to you. You're the guys that took the position. And it was a position that was not informed by major stakeholders that will be directly affected. There are close to 7,000 businesses in this area, employing 40,000 employees, many of them union employees. Their voices will not be silenced or dismissed. Any questions?
Sorry, we don't take questions. We do not take questions through public comment. You are free to ask. We do not take questions during public comment. Thank you, Randy. No. Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Moore. I'm coming to you today as a homeowner on 37th Street and on behalf of several of my neighbors. As the City of Yes Affordable Housing zoning resolution and the South Brooklyn Brownfield Opportunity Area proposals are made available to the public in April, the homeowners and residents of Community Board 7 need your support now more than ever. Sunset Park today is predominantly low density, with manufacturing uses and single-family homes that is considered a transit-oriented area. Homeowners who live in this neighborhoods have invested over decades to cultivate a good quality of life in this diverse community, despite the lack of resources and infrastructure to support its residents. We are underserved by our city's infrastructure today, in which every year residents spend tens of thousands of dollars to repair flood-damaged basements from failing sewer systems that are not maintained and are undersized to support their current demands during an average rainfall event. This community should be included in all DEP studies and plans for high-level storm systems and cloudburst solutions, as well as greater investment in our streetscapes to provide street trees and bioswale solutions to address the increased volume of stormwater we experience. As Community Board 7 residents, we are individually investing in solutions that support the City of Yes carbon neutrality goals by installing PVs on our roofs. Yet with the zoning area increases permitted by the City of Yes affordable housing developments, Our homes will experience significant shadows from these developments, diminishing solar capacity from these investments as the result of larger than appropriate developments. As Community Board 7 residents, our limited on-street parking currently supports our public school teachers for the numerous public schools that continue to expand in Sunset Park, as well as the MTA's Jackie Gleason Bus Depot employees who commute by car from other areas of the city to provide necessary services to everyone in Brooklyn. As new economic and housing developments rapidly increase, the need for parking for those outside of our community who commute to Sunset Park will also increase without greater investment in public transportation and considerations for increased parking that prioritize electric vehicles. We are asking Community Board 7 leaders as part of the public review process for the City of Yes Affordable Housing Zoning Resolution to engage now with all city agencies such as DOT, DEP, MTA, and others to map out clear recommendations for what should be done to address both the current needs of this community and the significant burdens that will be placed on their existing infrastructure, primarily as the result of the City of Yes Affordable Housing Zoning Resolution. We ask that you mobilize the various committees in the Community Board 7 during the upcoming public review process to demand from our city agencies real proposals with timelines for investment to address the rapid growth that will disproportionately impact our neighborhoods. The City of Yes zoning resolutions require effective interagency coordination and collaboration in order for it to be a success. We are looking for your help to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw another hand. Sir, come on up, and then Ms. Roca.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So to say two things to Community Board 7, Victor Ortega. To say two things to Community Board 7, thank you for considering the ceasefire resolution. Thank you very much. And thank you also for moving regarding the road diet on 3rd Avenue. Appreciate it enormously. And as a future petition, and I don't know if this is for now or for the Transportation Committee, it'd be wonderful if CB7 could study putting a bike lane on 5th Avenue, maybe a protected one. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Maria?
Maria Roca, Francis Sunset Park. 3 items. I don't know if you've noticed in the park, Sunset Park in the park, you've seen white flags, little flags all over the 5th Avenue, 41st and 44th primarily. That signify new plantings all over. It says trees, but I think it's going to be bushes at the end of the day. Please be vigilant and request protective fencing for those plantings. We just had trees put in on both slopes and along 41st and 44th a year and a half, 2 years ago. And the vandalism was unbelievable with this young planting. So retroactively, they had to come back and spend money that could have been spent at half the price initially to protect those trees to grow and develop roots before they started being further vandalized. So let's get ahead of this, and your help is needed so that you can either call 311, call the Parks Department, or you can email us at friendsofsunsetpark@yahoo.com, 718-755-8086, and let us know what's going on because we're not always in the park. Second, the Interborough Express, what used to be called Queens to Brooklyn, also Sunset Park to Queens. Sunset Park fell off the map. That is not referred to as anymore, and no one knows why. Maybe the board can respond to that. It is now called the Bay Ridge to Queens. The last I heard, Brooklyn Army Terminal was in Sunset Park. It's still being called that by DC, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know where all of a sudden we're chopped liver. We're no longer part of this conversation. I don't know where they're going, if they're going into the water, but nevertheless. And 3, there has been an uptick in strangers breaking into locked apartment buildings with into the public, locked public doors in apartment buildings. The ones I know of is all around the park. And apartments have been burglarized. Somebody, many of these apartments, people feel very comfortable. It's been very low, what do you call it, crime. And so they run down to the basement to pick up something from the laundry room, and they don't always lock their doors. We have talking to everybody, lock your doors, even if you're just going into the lobby to get the mail. It appears that some of the people are embarrassed to say to somebody who they don't know, if they're coming right behind them, I'm sorry, you need a key. You need to be able to call someone to come down and open the main, or you have a key. You have a key, or you know who to buzz you in. No embarrassment, no key. You don't know who to buzz. You don't have a phone number. You have no business being anywhere on the other side of that locked door. End of story.
Thank you, Maria. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Since there are no other items on the agenda but adjournment, I can declare this meeting now closed. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.